Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. We are going full force into an investigation of UFOs, according to NASA. That's what, on Wednesday they had a meeting, town hall, and they're preparing to move forward on their UFO investigation. And, it sounds what they're planning to do here seems a lot different than what Scientific American was talking about a few days earlier. I did a podcast on that. They were basically making it sound like NASA's not really interested in, searching for extraterrestrials or anything like that, or trying to, prove their existence. So I think basically, no, that's not really the case. Really, what they're doing here is they're trying to figure out what the, how to investigate these kinds of objects. Well, anyway, here's an article that appeared today on the 18th of August, 2022 in Vice. And we'll leave the link here for you. It says, NASA will now go full force investigating UFOs, agency says. The agency is convening a team to examine unidentified flying objects from a scientific perspective. And this was written by Becky Ferreira. And anyhow, it states here, I'm going to read some of this article for you, and I do suggest that you check it out for yourself. It says, NASA reaffirmed a full-throated commitment to studying unidentified flying objects during a town hall meeting held by the agency's Science Mission Directorate on Wednesday. The meeting followed up on the recent announcement of a NASA-funded study to examine observations in the sky that cannot be explained by any known human or natural phenomena. These sightings, also known as unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, have generated immense public interest, and they also raise air safety and national security concerns, prompting NASA to delve deeper into the topic. We're going full force on the UAP study, said Daniel Evans, Assistant Deputy Associate Administrator for Research at SMD, during Wednesday's town hall, reports Space.com. This is really important to us, and we're placing a high priority on it. The study will be led by David Spergel, president of the Simons Foundation, who will work with some of the world's leading scientists, data practitioners, artificial intelligence practitioners, aerospace safety experts, all with a specific charge, which is to tell us how to apply the full focus of science and data to UAP, Evans said. Team members will be selected by SMD and NASA's Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate, with ongoing consultation from the United States Department of Defense and congressional stakeholders, according to a slide of the PowerPoint presentation from the town hall. The study will focus on identifying available data, how best to collect future data, and how NASA can use that data to move the scientific understanding of UAP forward, read the slide, which also displayed a picture of Senator Bill Nelson, who serves as NASA Administrator, and the Honorable Ronald Moultrie, the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, taken during a UAP coordination meeting on August 3rd. NASA said there is no evidence that UAPs are visiting aliens, but these phenomena are strange even if they originate right here on Earth. I just want to stop there for a second. Okay, now NASA says there's no evidence that UAP are visiting aliens. So what are they then? I mean, you're talking about, objects that are accelerating and doing things that our flying aircraft cannot do. Anyway, we'll just continue here. It says, for instance, NASA officials have discussed weird extreme acceleration in UAPs, among other tantalizing topics, according to internal documents that were recently released through a Freedom of Information Act request. So, okay, who? Okay, if they're not visiting aliens, then who else on this planet is operating these things? I just want to throw that out there. I think we need to get over this hump here. Something's operating these things. Is it maybe there's some race of advanced dolphins, living off the coast of Miami in some underwater city, and they've created a world where they use the full power of the sun as an energy mechanism, and it allows them to basically live a life of no instrumentalities, where they could just imagine things, they could bring things into existence by mere thought. Is that what's causing these things? Are these advanced dolphins maybe creating avatars that are in the shape of these gray beings that are flying around in these saucers that are abducting people and draining the blood out of cattle? Like there's these questions. It's just funny that when you hear government organizations like NASA or anybody in the Pentagon talking about this, you never hear them talking about this part of it. The abduction stuff and the cattle mutilations and the all the other evidence that's accumulated. That's never considered. So if it's not visiting aliens, then what is it? Is there some advanced race right here on Earth that we're unaware of? Maybe something that's I know it sounds ridiculous, but dolphins. But what else? What are you talking about? Is there some a group of beings that have divorced themselves from the rest of humanity and are hiding out somewhere in the South Pole and living in caves somewhere, and they have they're basically sending out these machines to study us now? Or I don't know where are these things coming from. You know there's something out there. Right, and basically all this stuff basically treats the rest of us out there like a bunch of morons for the most part. I mean, the only people that know something that's for sure that's going on are mostly the people that have studied this intensely, and or people who have personal experiences and know that for a fact that there's something going on, seen the beings. There's people out there who have actually seen some of these beings. There's people out there who been abducted. There's people that saw UFOs flying over a herd of cattle, and then one of them disappears, and they find it later on, and its bones are all broken, like it was dropped from a height, and all its blood is drained. I mean, what about that part of this? Shouldn't that be part of this too? I mean, shouldn't that be a consideration? Anyway, I'm off track here. I want to get back here to the article. Okay, continuing. In addition to the update on the UAP study, the town hall meeting covered new data from the James Webb Space Telescope and the forthcoming launch of Artemis 1, the first test flight of the agency's massive Space Launch System rocket. Okay. And there's another article here that I believe from space.com with regard to this meeting and the intent of NASA. I mean, basically what this is, they're trying to come up with better ways to study UAP to try to determine what these things are. I just think that you see, the problem is that again, I still think the approach is lacking. I think the approach needs to take into consideration all of these other aspects of this phenomenon. They don't want to go there. They pretend that that's not real. I mean, but it is real, and there's evidence to support these things. To act like there's nothing here is just it's almost like either you're a fool. Right, you're a complete fool, or you're deliberately covering something up. You're deliberately not speaking about everything that you believe or know. And here's the other thing too. And let me just say this: regardless of what NASA finds out on this, anything that they release to the public, particularly, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no. I in a way, I do agree with Scientific American on one point. The NASA, in the end, I would highly doubt that they're going to come forward and say, "Hey, we think it could be extraterrestrial." There's no way, unless somehow the Pentagon gives them permission to say something like this. The Pentagon has, they've controlled the narrative on this for many, many years now. And I mean, NASA for many years. I mean, there's been people that worked for NASA over the decades who have stated that there's been things that. There's UFOs seen all the time, things that are obviously not man-made, but obviously intelligently controlled, but they're not allowed. They weren't allowed to say anything about it. They can't. They're not allowed. I mean, orders come down from the Pentagon, right? And within the people in the Pentagon giving those orders, they're receiving their orders from somewhere else, from a deep, dark, secret group in the Pentagon. Call it MJ-12, call it anything you want, but there's something. There has to be, right? There has to be something out there. So in a way, I do agree with the Scientific American article from a few days ago that basically said that they're not going to find anything, right? But the tone of that article was basically the whole notion of aliens visiting here is completely preposterous, and you know, I'm not going to get into that again, but you know, so that's what's going on here. I think that you know, regardless of what NASA uncovers, right, they're not going to be able to come out and state the, you know, the full truth unless their Pentagon handlers allow them to, and that remains to be seen. I just, you know, I don't know if the day will ever come where somebody from the government, from the United States government, is going to come forward and state, yeah, we think just this. Not to say that they are extraterrestrials, but they're, you know, you don't usually hear someone from the high echelon from the you know, of the Pentagon coming forward and saying, yeah, it could be aliens from outer space. You're not going to hear that. You know, I highly doubt that. This is going to go on a long time. The cover-up's going to continue. The United States government's going to continue providing black money to black programs where we just don't know where the money's going, but it's going to secret programs to study this phenomenon. And there's private defense contractors that are involved in trying to reverse engineer these things. I'm sure they're getting some bucks from taxpayers' wallets that we just don't, it's unaccounted for. So in addition to all of that, and plus, they don't want the panic, the fear, and everything else that this would cause. They're just not going to. It's going to be a long time coming. It's going to be a slow, long buildup. That's my feeling at this right now. When going into 2022, I was pretty optimistic, thinking, we might get somewhere with the government, but we're not. We're not. The only way we're going to get somewhere is if something happens that they don't expect to happen. Somehow, something happens where it becomes an undeniable fact. And even then, you're going to have some blowback. I just think that we're going to be waiting a long time, regardless of what they find. I mean, hey, it's highly possible. I could be wrong here, right? I could be wrong. I hope I am. I guess I'm jaded. But I mean, I guess I should point to some of the good things that's happened recently, like the Pentagon acknowledging for the first time ever that some of these objects are transmedium. I mean, if you're talking about things that are transmedium objects that are, you know, that could win every cat and mouse game with our jet fighters ever, all the time, you know, no matter what day of the week or day or time of day it is, right? Then we're talking about something that's more advanced than we are, right? I mean, so if you're talking about something that's more advanced than we are, then we're talking about some beings that we believed are here, and when you consider all the other evidence, well, it has to be. It's apparently extraterrestrial. They're here. But again, our officials are only allowed to say so much. They're basically, this is just part of the dog and pony show to massage the public. Yeah, we're looking into it. This is a full, you know, we're going full force. And I'm sure they are, but again, it's only $100,000 that's been earmarked for this project. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. But then again, they're going to be working with materials that come from civilians and or military. So that's anything that they get in the future. They already have stuff they could look at, examine, study, try to come up with idea what it possibly could be. How could we figure out what this is? They're going to come up with things like that. But then again, at the same time, what else could it be? I mean, where else is it coming from? Again, we've been dealing with this for a long time, so I would think that the most obvious answer is that it is, right? It can't be us, right? So who is it? Where are they from? Who are these things? Who are these people?